Are you absolutely furious with the Toronto Maple Leafs playoff woes? Or are you buzzing with an almost manic excitement for what this offseason could bring? Because Leafs Nation, get ready to feel every single one of those emotions. We're diving headfirst into not one, but two earth-shattering rumors that could redefine the very identity of your beloved team. From a gritty power forward to a superstar breadman, the Leafs are once again at the epicenter of the NHL storm. And trust me, you won't want to miss a single second of this. All right, everyone, let's kick things off with a scenario that feels ripped straight from a high-stakes Netflix drama. The Toronto Maple Leafs, a roster overflowing with talent, loaded with big names, yet still haunted by that nagging feeling, that undeniable gap that screams, we need to be tougher. And who, pray tell, enters this compelling narrative? None other than Evander Kane. Yes, that Evander Kane. The very player who has, at times, been a lightning rod for controversy, but who also brings a raw, physical intensity that makes opposing defenders genuinely nervous. And here's the kicker. This audacious move could simultaneously clear the path to finally sign Jack Roslavic, the dynamic partner Austin Matthews has been desperately craving. Honestly, if this isn't a storyline worthy of drama with more twists than a pretzel, I don't know what is. Let's peel back the layers because this rumor is the kind that makes you stop, scratch your head, and wonder, will this be a stroke of genius, or will it blow up the locker room? Toronto is, by design, a team built on skill. Austin Matthews is the face of the franchise, a goal-scoring machine. Morgan really anchors the defense with his customary experience, and Matias Maxelli arrived to inject creative spark into the offense. But here's the cold, hard truth. Talent alone doesn't win playoff hockey. If you doubt that, just cast your eyes south to what the Florida Panthers accomplished. They weren't champions because they boasted more stars. They won because they played with an unparalleled level of grit, physicality, and a relentless willingness to engage in short-term battles. That, my friends, is the very DNA Craig Berube wants to inject into this Toronto roster. And that's where the name Evander Kane emerges. At 34 years old, with nearly 2 decades in the NHL, Kane carries a reputation as a fiercely physical player who absolutely does not shy away from confrontation. He missed a significant portion of last regular season due to injury, but when he returned for the playoffs, he proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that he is still a competitive beast. How beastly, you ask? Try 95 hits in just 24 games. That's an average of over 3 hits per game. And it's not just the physicality. He also contributed 12 points in that postseason run. So he's not just a battering ram. He adds offensive punch. Honestly, this is precisely what Craig Berube wants. Someone who seamlessly combines intensity with an offensive presence. Now, brace yourself for a proposed trade, as suggested by Heavy.com. It would see Max Domi, Kaye Jarnkrok, and Easton Cowan heading to the Vancouver Canucks. Yep, this is no minor transaction. Max Domi, who's practically a citizen of the NHL world, switching teams as often as we change shows on streaming. Kaye Jarnkrok, a reliable veteran who adds depth and defensive responsibility on the third line. And then there's Easton Cowan, a prospect many see as a significant part of the Leafs' future, a kid who exploded for 69 points in the OHL with the London Knights. So, it's that classic dilemma. You're sending out a solid veteran, another dependable guy, and a red-hot prospect. Is it worth it? And that's where the second, equally intriguing, part of this story comes in, because this move isn't just about bringing in Kane. It's also about strategically opening up cap space and finally signing Jack Roslavic. His name has been on Toronto's radar since the very start of free agency, and I'm not the only one saying it. It's Elliot Friedman, one of the most respected NHL insiders in the game. According to him, the Leafs are still very much alive in the pursuit, but they're not alone. 5 or 6 other teams are also eyeing him. So, freeing up money is absolutely essential. And with Domi, Jarnkrok, and Cowan potentially out, that money suddenly appears. Roslavic isn't a player to replace Mitch Marner. Let's be honest, nobody truly is. But he can bring speed, creativity, and a bit of that offensive connection Austin Matthews has desperately needed since Marner's departure. The big question, of course, is this enough to propel the Leafs to the next level? Toronto fans are beyond tired of the same old story. An exciting regular season followed by a disappointing playoff exit. Berube was hired precisely to change that narrative. This coach doesn't want a pretty team. He wants a team that annoys, provokes, delivers hits, and takes hits without complaint. Back to Kane. The stat that truly impresses me isn't just his points. It's his sheer physicality. In 2023-24, he set a career high with 248 hits in 77 games. That's over 3 hits per game consistently. Stats like this aren't trivial. They're a difference maker. Because when you face teams like Boston, Florida, or Carolina in the playoffs, controlling the puck isn't enough. You need to take hits, and you need to dish them back. Kane does it with gusto. And I'll tell you, having a guy like that skating alongside Matthews can fundamentally change the face of this team. Of course, you can't ignore the other side of the coin, the risk. Kane is a player who either fits perfectly and becomes a hero, or he becomes a locker room problem. He has a history of complicated off-ice moments and a strong personality that doesn't always mesh seamlessly with tight-knit groups. So, imagine the pressure in Toronto, one of the craziest hockey cities on the planet. If something goes wrong, it becomes a headline in seconds. On the other hand, you're giving up Domi, who, despite not being a star, is versatile and energetic. Jarnkrok is defensively reliable, and Cowan could absolutely explode in the future. So it's that classic dilemma. Do you bet on immediate impact with Kane and Roslavic, or do you hold for the long-term project? And look, considering Matthews is at his absolute peak, and the window of opportunity doesn't stay open forever, I completely understand the temptation. Ultimately, all of this seems part of a larger, overarching plan. A heavier, more physical Leafs team, better prepared to fight and claw in the playoffs. And you know what? It makes sense. The team doesn't need another skilled player. It needs a guy who steps onto the ice and makes the opponent think twice before making a move. Kane is that guy. And if Roslavic comes aboard, you can strike that crucial balance between skill and strength. Now, the burning question, will it work? Because honestly, Toronto has tried everything. They've signed veterans, bet on youth, changed coaches, switched GMs, and the story, frustratingly, remains the same: sky-high expectations, followed by a sharp decline in May. So, if this trade happens, I'll be watching every single game with popcorn in hand, because this is all the makings of either an absolute, unmitigated success or total, unadulterated chaos. And we love chaos, don't we? At the end of the day, this is the NHL, a league that feels more like a reality show every day. And Toronto is a perfect protagonist. Full of drama, controversial decisions, and a fan base that simply does not forgive. If Kane and Roslavic truly wear blue and white, get ready for a wild, wild season. Just when you thought the Maple Leafs offseason couldn't possibly get any crazier, that it might actually settle down for a moment of calm, another rumor explodes onto the scene, sending shockwaves through the hockey world. Welcome once again to the parallel universe called Toronto, where every big name even remotely available becomes a collective obsession. And now, the name in the spotlight is one that would honestly, truly excite any fan to their core: Artemi Panarin, the famous bread man. Yes, him, one of the most electrifying, skilled players in the entire NHL, who suddenly keeps appearing more and more frequently in trade speculation. This isn't just smoke, folks. There's a definite fire behind it. Why does this particular rumor carry so much weight? First, because the New York Rangers find themselves in a profoundly confusing phase. That team that looked poised and ready to compete for a title is now navigating a roller coaster of decisions. They've already shuffled the roster, traded away veterans, and are operating in a climate of uncertainty that leaves ample room for truly monumental changes. Insider David Pagnotta recently added significant fuel to this fire when he openly pondered, what's going to happen with Panarin? If everything stays the same, will they accelerate trade talks? This question opens a huge, gaping door, because if New York stumbles badly at the start of the season, if losses begin to pile up, they could very well decide to accelerate a full-scale rebuild. And who will be watching that situation with bated breath? Of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, let's consider the situation in Toronto. General Manager Brad Treliving simply cannot afford mistakes. He took over this team with one incredibly clear mission: turn raw talent into tangible results. Because let's be brutally honest, Fabian, patience has completely run out. The usual storyline has grown tiresome, even infuriating. A solid regular season, renewed hope, and then, inevitably, a frustrating elimination. With the Florida Panthers transforming into a playoff machine, Tampa Bay always competitive, and teams like Carolina and New Jersey consistently raising the bar, Toronto needs something truly transformative that changes the very face of their offense. And that, my friends, is precisely where Panarin enters the conversation. This guy isn't just good, he's a certified game changer. We're talking about a player with an astonishing 870 points in 752 career games. In the 2022-23 season alone, he scored an incredible 120 points, with 49 goals and 71 assists. That is an offensive talent that very few teams could even dream of having. Oh, and before anyone dares to question his playoff performance, let's look at the numbers. 61 points in 73 postseason games. He is absolutely not the type of player who disappears when the pressure is on. He shows up, and he decides games. Now, close your eyes and imagine that alongside Austin Matthews and William Nylander, that would be, without a doubt, one of the most dangerous, most terrifying trios in the entire league. Easily. But, as always, there's a problem. And here, the problem has a number. $11.6 million. That's Panarin's cap hit. And honestly, fitting that into the Leafs' current cap space is almost an impossible puzzle without making some incredibly bold, even painful moves. We're talking about potentially moving important, foundational pieces. Maybe Morgan really? Hard to imagine, but not entirely impossible in a scenario this desperate. Another option could be to piece together a package including names like David Kampf, Max Domi, and perhaps someone like Brandon Carlo. Together, they might get close to $9.5 million, but still wouldn't cover everything. And of course, New York will demand a serious return. This isn't just any player. He's elite, even at 33. So, expect multiple first-round picks, promising prospects, maybe even someone like Easton Cowan entering the conversation. And here comes a truly big question. Is it worth it? Because this would essentially be a luxury rental. Panarin is under contract for just this season, and then becomes an unrestricted free agent. So, Toronto could spend valuable picks in young players, sacrificing crucial depth just to have Panarin for a mere few months. And if they don't win the Stanley Cup, it all, quite literally, goes up in smoke. This is a type of move that either makes a general manager an eternal hero, forever etched in the franchise's lore, or the favorite target of every single fan and media pundit. And in Toronto, where every decision carries a potential for scandal, the pressure is astronomically higher. Now, let's flip the script and imagine the other side. Why would the Rangers even consider doing this? Because the team appears to be stuck in a dangerous middle ground. Not bad enough to fully rebuild, but not quite good enough to truly compete with powerhouses like Carolina, New Jersey, or even Washington. And if the season starts poorly, with losses piling up and playoff chances rapidly slipping away, it makes absolute sense to trade Panarin for assets that will genuinely help in the future. We've seen this play out before with other teams. And let's be honest, keeping such a heavy contract for a team that isn't truly contending is a luxury that makes absolutely no sense. But let's get to what truly matters: how Panarin would fundamentally change the Leafs. Close your eyes and imagine a power play with Matthews, Nylander, and Panarin. Three players who think the game at a level far above everyone else. The bread man bringing insane vision, impossible passes, creating space where nobody else even sees it. This isn't just a reinforcement. It's a complete change of identity. Toronto would transform from a team with one or two primary weapons into an absolute defensive nightmare for any opponent, especially in the playoffs where every single detail counts. Panarin isn't just skill, he's experience, he's presence. He's the type of player who can single-handedly turn a series with one moment of brilliance. Of course, there's the other side of that coin, and it's a heavy one. Losing depth can be incredibly costly. Playoff hockey isn't just about stars. It's about third and fourth lines functioning effectively, solid defense, and reliable goaltending. If Toronto trades away 3 or 4 pieces to bring in Panarin, they risk becoming dangerously unbalanced. And again, there are no guarantees. At the end of the day, the trophy doesn't go to the team with the most talent on paper. It goes to the team that plays best on the ice. To me, this is a typical situation that defines a GM. Play it safe, maintain balance, try smaller, incremental reinforcements, or go all in, bring in a player who changes everything, and simply hope it works out. And I'll tell you, after years of frustration, maybe it's finally time to take that monumental risk. Matthews is at his peak. Nylander, too. The window won't stay open forever. And if Panarin truly hits the market, there will be a line forming around the block. If Toronto doesn't act fast, someone else absolutely will. So I ask you, Leafs Nation, would you do it? Would you give up depth, prospects, and picks for Panarin for one season? Or would you play it safe, betting that balance is worth more than an offensive explosion? I'm genuinely curious because, honestly, this rumor has all the ingredients to absolutely explode in the coming months. Keep a very close eye out, because if the Rangers stumble early, this story will catch fire. And when that happens, rest assured, the Toronto Maple Leaf saga will gain another chapter that we simply won't be able to stop watching. So there you have it, Leafs fans. 2 monumental trade rumors, 2 completely different paths for your team. Which one gets your heart racing? Which one fills you with dread? We want to hear all your thoughts, your passionate arguments, your wildest predictions. Hit that like button if you're ready for some serious off-season drama. And drop a comment below letting us know if you're on Team Kane and Roslavic, or if you're ready to go all in for the bread man, Artemi Panarin. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for all the breaking news and unfiltered analysis on your Toronto Maple Leafs.